Good morning everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great and welcome to this new video here on Bitcoin. Sunday update, we'll talk a little bit about next week. Next week we have some economic data that matters, alright, different from last week. Last week there was barely anything. And obviously there's a lot of fundamental business we need to speak about as well. And the technical situation and the technical price action for Bitcoin in the last 24 hours has been quite interesting as well. So in short, a lot to talk about this Sunday morning. But first of all, and most importantly, hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great weekend, and let's get right into it. So yeah, let's start off with next week. I think that's best. I'm striving to do some sort of a maybe live stream, maybe a market update later today as well, in which I will repeat this. But for now, today we have a speech by Jerome Powell later this evening. Might be interesting. I actually did not, or at least I haven't heard too much about that. And Sunday speeches we don't get often. Barely, I've almost never seen that, but okay. Tuesday, no major news. Monday, no major news. Wednesday, major news. All right, FOMC minutes. Going to be important, but we'll talk about that later. Thursday, Ascension Day, initial jobless claims, GDP data, pending home sales, important. All right, Thursday again. And then Friday we have a PCE price index, which is also going to be important. All right, so in short, Wednesday till Friday, major news. You need to know about that. Now, talking about the technicals for Bitcoin so far, we're holding relatively well, right? I mean, yesterday what I spoke about is that I thought it was most likely that we would be able to hold this level right here between the 7-day rolling VWAP and 200 EMA, around 107,000, and we have been able to do that. But in general, look, if you just take a look at this price action, it's not great, right? Because are we getting much strength from that support level? No. And the strength that we're getting from that support level is also diminishing, right? I mean, you can see lower bounces from that from the area, which technically should be quite strong. The 200 EMA, the 7-day rolling VWAP, although this is on the 1 hour time frame, you know, if we would be in an uptrend still, you would expect some sort of a reaction from that area, right? The 200 EMA, the last time we were in some sort of a consolidation, was the main area that provided a bounce for moves higher. My apologies for my nose, by the way. I've had a couple of short nights. But no, I mean, technically this is not great. And that if you combine that with the fundamentals, which I think are still very uncertain, right? The markets, if you take a look at crypto, but also if you take a look at the general equity markets, they have declined a little bit after the renewed tensions between the EU and the US. But not as much as what happened between the US and China, right? Even though the trade between the US and the EU is much bigger than the trade between the US and China. So in my opinion, that still leaves quite a lot of risk to the downside, especially for equities, but that due to the correlation obviously also has a major effect on Bitcoin. So that is something I think you need to be wary of. And then if you combine that with the price action we've seen over the course of this weekend, even though the volume was low, right? I mean, the volume over the majority of this weekend, except for this last drop right here, was quite low, right? So that means that there isn't a lot of conviction behind the price action. But the combination of that does make me think that, you know, for now, it's most likely we'll be able to hold 107, which is a very strong support level, but I will not buy there. All right, personally, the main area where I'll be looking to, and I would even go as far as saying that I'd say it's a little bit more likely that we'll drop down into that, is this area right here towards 105,000, where we have a major liquidity zone, but it's also close towards the retest of the previous range. And on the 12-hour time frame, I think you also start to see the trend there. So strong level. I would say it's most likely we're going to drop down into that unless we see some sort of resolution between the US and the EU, or if we get some other bullish news, right? But for now, I'd say that's most likely. I think that's what you need to know. Keep your eyes on the channel for this afternoon for more updates. But in general, I'll keep you updated on this. So be careful, especially in the next 24 hours. But that's what you need to know for now. Thank you for watching. Have a great Sunday and take care. Bye.